At 6:41 p.m., security cameras at Westbridge International Airport capture a man in a navy coat walking through Terminal 3 arrivals. He was calm, unhurried, dragging a small black suitcase behind him. He passed a coffee kiosk. He checked his phone. He looked up at the departures board. And then he was never seen exiting the airport again. But here's the strange part. His flight record shows he never boarded. Not a delay, not a cancellation. Just a man who walked into one of the most heavily monitored buildings in the city and simply disappeared inside it. When investigators first reviewed the footage, they expected a simple explanation: a missed flight, a last-minute cancellation, a hotel booking nearby. Instead, they found something far more disturbing. The man, later identified as Daniel Mercer, 38, had entered Terminal 3 at 6:41 p.m. At 6:44 p.m., he passed through security screening without issue. At 6:52 p.m., he was seen near Gate 22, the gate for Flight 417 to Zurich. And at 7:10 p.m., boarding was complete. But Daniel Mercer never appeared on the passenger scan list, and there was no footage of him leaving. The question that immediately split the investigation in two was simple. Did Daniel Mercer board the plane, or did he vanish inside the airport itself? Daniel Mercer wasn't the kind of man anyone described as reckless. He was a logistics consultant specializing in international shipping contracts. Married, one child, a predictable routine, a predictable life. He was traveling to Zurich for what colleagues described as a critical contract negotiation meeting with a European shipping partner. His wife, Hannah Mercer, dropped him off at the airport that afternoon. Security footage shows him hugging briefly outside departures. She later told investigators his last words were, "I'll call you once I land. It'll be quick." He checked in online. No checked luggage. One carry-on suitcase. Seat assigned, 14A. Everything about the trip looked normal, almost too normal. Inside Terminal 3, Daniel Mercer's movements were tracked across multiple systems. At 6:45 p.m., he passed TSA screening with no alerts. At 6:48 p.m., he purchased bottled water. At 6:52 p.m., he sat briefly near Gate 22 and made a phone call. That call lasted 37 seconds. Investigators later confirmed the call went to an unregistered number routed through an encrypted VoIP service. It was never traced. At 6:58 p.m., surveillance shows him standing up, adjusting his coat, and walking toward Gate 22, boarding lane. And then something unusual happens. He stops, turns, walks away from the gate. This is the last confirmed sighting of Daniel Mercer. What makes this moment critical is what follows. He is not seen at any other gate. He does not pass through exit security. He does not appear in parking structure footage. He does not show up at airport hotels. It is as if he walked into a blind spot that shouldn't exist. When airport authorities first launched internal review, they assumed a scanning error. Passengers occasionally slip through manual boarding inconsistencies. But Flight 417's manifest showed something troubling. Every boarding pass was scanned. Every passenger accounted for, except Daniel Mercer. Even more disturbing, his seat, 14A, remained empty throughout the flight. The airline insisted he never boarded. But TSA logs showed he never exited security either. So where did he go? A full review of 47 airport cameras revealed something unexpected. There are 2-minute gaps in footage near Gate 22 during the exact window Daniel Mercer disappears from view. Not full outages, just selected blind spots. Camera 12 near seating area. 6:57 to 6:59 p.m. glitch. Camera 14 facing corridor. 6:58 to 7 p.m. distortion. Camera 15 near restroom entrance. Partial occlusion at 6:59 p.m. Airport IT specialists called it a system synchronization error. Cybersecurity consultants called it statistically unlikely. One investigator put it more bluntly. It looks like someone knew exactly where not to look. Even though Daniel had no checked luggage, his carry-on suitcase created a secondary mystery. Security scanning logs confirm. His bag entered screening. His bag cleared inspection. His bag was recorded moving toward Gate 22. But after that point, the suitcase disappears from tracking entirely. It never boarded the flight. It never left the airport system. It simply stops existing in the record until 3 days later, when airport lost and found logs show a black suitcase turned in by an unknown staff member. Inside, clothes, a wallet, passport, and a handwritten note. The note contained only 6 words. It was not supposed to happen. Handwriting analysis confirmed it was Daniel Mercer's. As news of the disappearance spread, 3 main theories emerged. Some investigators believe Daniel Mercer never intended to board Flight 417. They pointed to the encrypted phone call, the sudden turn away from Gate 22, and the missing camera footage. Could someone have impersonated him? A passenger resembling Daniel was briefly flagged on a different security lane, but never confirmed. However, no boarding discrepancy matched his identity. No duplicate passport scan was found. The theory weakened, but never disappeared entirely. Another theory suggested Daniel Mercer was taken inside the airport itself, not outside. Inside, security consultants noticed something unusual. Several service corridor doors near Gate 22 were open during the time of his disappearance. Access typically restricted to staff. Airport employees reported seeing maintenance personnel in the area, but no work orders existed for that time. One cleaner later told investigators, "I heard footsteps where no passengers should be, but no physical evidence supported a forced removal. No struggle, no alerts, no panic, just absence." The most controversial theory was also the simplest. Daniel Mercer chose to vanish. Financial records showed small, irregular transfers in the weeks leading up to the trip. 2 months after the disappearance, the case was officially classified as open but inactive. No body, no confirmed exit, no verified boarding. Just a man caught between systems that were supposed to track everything. His wife still visits the airport occasionally, sitting near Gate 22 during evening flights. She told reporters, he didn't just vanish. Something removed him from the story. Airport officials quietly updated internal protocols after the case. New redundancies were added to surveillance systems. Additional biometric checks were introduced, but none of it answered the question that still lingers. How does someone walk into the most monitored building in the city and disappear without crossing a single detectable exit point? Some airport employees claim that late at night, when Terminal 3 is nearly empty, certain cameras still glitch in the same way they did that evening. 2-minute gaps, selective distortions, blind spots that shouldn't exist, and occasionally just barely visible in the distortion. A man in a navy coat walking calmly out of frame. But when the footage is reviewed frame by frame, he is never there. Only the suitcase remains, empty. By the time the case went cold, Daniel Mercer's disappearance had already grown into something larger than a missing persons report. Inside Westbridge International Airport, staff stopped referring to it as the Mercer incident. They called it something else entirely, the Gap case, because that was the only thing anyone could agree on. Something had happened inside a gap in the system, not outside it. Inside it, what investigators didn't initially disclose to the public was that Daniel Mercer's trip to Zurich wasn't routine at all. His employer, a global logistics firm called Northline Freight Solutions, had flagged internal discrepancies 2 weeks before his departure. Daniel had been working on a confidential contract tied to shipping routes through Eastern Europe, routes that were suddenly under international regulatory review. And then there was an email, recovered from his corporate account but deleted from his personal devices. It contained only a single line. If this goes through, people will notice what's been moving under the system. When investigators re-interviewed his supervisor, the man insisted Daniel was just stressed. But his hesitation told a different story, because Daniel Mercer wasn't just traveling for a meeting. He was carrying information. The 37-second encrypted call at 6:52 p.m. became the focal point of the entire investigation. For weeks, cyber analysts tried to trace it. At first, it looked like a dead end, routed through multiple anonymized servers across 3 countries. But then a breakthrough came from an unexpected place. An airport maintenance contractor. He admitted something during a routine polygraph review. "We had a systems test that day. Not scheduled, just requested." The test involved temporary rerouting of certain internal network nodes near Gate 22. Officially, it was labeled as a signal optimization exercise, but no documentation existed in the airport's main operations archive. Someone had authorized it off book, and the timing aligned perfectly with Daniel Mercer's last known movements. When investigators widened their review, they identified 3 airport staff members who were near Gate 22 during the disappearance window. None of them appeared in official duty rosters for that section. When questioned, their answers conflicted. One claimed he was directed by radio. Another said he was covering a shift swap. The third refused to speak at all. But security badge logs showed something even more unsettling. Their access credentials were used simultaneously in 2 different parts of the airport at the exact same time, which was impossible unless the system was being spoofed or mirrored. A physical inspection of Terminal 3 revealed something no one had documented in architectural plans. A maintenance corridor behind Gate 22 that did not appear in public maps. It led to service elevators, electrical junction rooms, and a sealed emergency exit tunnel that connected to an older section of the airport. The tunnel was supposed to be decommissioned after renovations 5 years earlier, but it wasn't sealed properly. And inside it, investigators found something unexpected. Footprints, fresh ones, heading inward, not outward. 3 weeks after the disappearance, a breakthrough came from customs data in a neighboring country. A man matching Daniel Mercer's passport details was flagged entering a transit hub in Istanbul. Same height, same build, same passport number, but the biometric signature did not match. Fingerprints were close but inconsistent. Facial recognition gave a 72% match, high enough to trigger alerts, but not enough for confirmation. And then the man vanished again. No boarding record, no exit scan, just like before. This created a new theory among investigators. Was Daniel Mercer being moved through the system without being officially recorded? Or worse, was someone repeatedly recreating him across borders? The suitcase recovered 3 days after the disappearance was reanalyzed. Initially, it contained clothes, documents, and a handwritten note. But a second forensic review revealed something missed the first time. Microscopic residue inside the lining suggested the bag had been opened after leaving Daniel's possession. Items had been removed in a controlled environment, and the bag had been resealed using industrial stitching equipment, meaning the suitcase had been handled by professionals, not airport passengers, not random theft, but someone who knew exactly how to erase traces. 6 months after the case went cold, an internal airport cybersecurity memo was leaked. It contained one paragraph that was never shared publicly. Multiple system irregularities indicate coordinated manipulation of surveillance segmentation during the 6:55 to 7:05 p.m. window at Gate 22. The pattern suggests intentional creation of observational blind continuity across overlapping camera feeds. Translated from technical language, it meant something simple. The cameras didn't fail. They were made not to see. A year later, a junior airport technician doing routine maintenance near Terminal 3 made an unofficial recording on his phone. He later deleted it, but not before showing it to a coworker. In the clip, taken near midnight, Terminal 3 is mostly empty. The camera pans slowly across Gate 22, and for a fraction of a second, a distortion appears. A familiar shape walks through it. A man in a navy coat, dragging a small black suitcase, moving toward a corridor that officially does not exist anymore. When the technician tried to reopen the file later, it had been wiped from the device entirely. Even backup showed nothing. No video, no corruption, just empty storage. Daniel Mercer is still listed as missing. No body recovered, no confirmed exit, no verified boarding. But inside Westbridge International Airport, one quiet policy change still stands. Gate 22 is now monitored by twice the usual number of cameras. None of them overlap, because according to one investigator who refused to be named, the moment you create a blind spot in a system that big, you don't know what decides to walk through it. And somewhere in that airport, between arrivals and departures that still run like clockwork, there's still a gap in the footage, waiting for something to pass through again.